Living Archives on Eugenics in Western Canada is a 5-year Community University Research Alliance grant funded by the Social Sciences and Humanities Research Council of Canada. Since 2011, Living Archives has held a week of events each October. This week is called Alberta Eugenics Awareness Week, and in 2013, the third year, events ran from October 16th through October 22nd.
The term eugenics was apparently coined in the late 1800s from Darwin's cousin Sir Francis Galton, literally meaning well-born or good breeding. Canada partnered with Anglican, Catholic, United, and Presbyterian churches to establish a total of 132 publicly funded residential schools. Alberta introduced the Sexual Sterilization Act, which allowed the state to surgically sterilize people with mental defectives. The mortality rate was between 35% and 60% in Western Canadian residential schools. With the incorporation of the Sexual Sterilization Act, the Canadian government was able to effectively kill the Indian in the child and also kill any chance of a child in the Indian. Stephen Harper refuses to launch a national inquiry into this atrocity.
What the anxiety was about mixed descent. And this need to assimilate, to control marriage between light-skinned Aboriginal people and you know, they should marry white people, and eventually the race will be bred out of them. The full-blood Aboriginal people will just simply die out. The way that it was articulated was that Aboriginal people of mixed descent combine the worst aspects of each race.
Eugenics discourse certainly laid the foundation for much of our oppression and colonization and the legitimization of the colonialism that we continue to experience. Mainstream people are not aware of this document and this reality. Okay, so every male Penobscot 50 pounds over the age of 12. For every scalp of a male Penobscot above the age brought in as evidence of their being killed, 40 pounds. It's really stunning to think, okay, that was 1755. And the first time any analysis of this document was done by a Wabanaki person was in 2010 when I wrote my dissertation. This document has never been eradicated or apologized for. So the tribal chiefs in that area have brought this to the British government and requested an eradication of it, and there has been no response.
So we know that those early feminist reformers, people like Emily Murphy, Violet McNaughton, Nellie McClung, all of these women linked poverty and reproduction explicitly with notions of feeble-mindedness, and eugenics became an important and significant part of their campaign to increase the political power for women. Fellow famous fiver Irene Parlby made a special plea to women. She said, as women, as mothers of the race, we should be considering this subject very seriously indeed. We should have every sympathy for those who are so unhappy as to have brought defective children into the world, though perhaps through no fault of their own, except that of marrying into an unwholesome stock. So these two women, Parlby and McNaughton, I think, are two of the most prominent Canadian feminists in their generation, and their hysterectomies rendered them childless at a time when feminism and motherhood went hand in hand. So today on Persons Day, as we reflect on the early feminist achievements and how we should celebrate them with the appropriate level of complications, I hope that we can also include this in our thinking about how we should categorize these feminists.
And my topic is the blurred line between contraceptive and eugenic sterilization. Who has the right to be a mother or to choose to not be a mother? The court issued a sweeping decision that, ironically, I would argue, reinforced two of the most fundamental tenets of eugenics. Reproduction is the defining aspect of a woman's life, and people with intellectual disabilities are all the same, incapable of making their own decisions about reproduction and incapable of speaking on their own behalf.
As the play opens, mankind emerges as the conqueror of the world, overtly confident in the ability to subdue the forces of nature, claiming that he has achieved complete dominance over the world. Devastated, womankind realizes she has ignored her racial responsibilities as well. By relinquishing the duties of womanhood for self-pleasure, she has endangered her race. As the play ends, mankind and womankind pledge their future to bringing up a race physically perfect and mentally enlightened.
This book changed my life, she posted on Goodreads. It told you how to do, a birthing pack, how to sterilize your instruments, how to deliver a breech birth, how to stop a hemorrhage, things like that. Santana did not realize it at the time of her purchase, but this little manual would become crucial to her and her community of Gaskin followers in the near future. And their confidence and ability resulted in a birthing movement that gained worldwide attention, as well as birth outcomes that continue to be cited as evidence that home births offered a safe, more humane and effective alternative to the hospital. And if people want to have them in the hospital or a birth center or at home, but I think it should be their choice.
But one of the things we've really wanted to do is we've wanted to kind of emphasize that it's compatible or it's optimized for all sorts of different devices. It's like a shallow design philosophy in which people can access things and a lot of different things really quickly. So within 1 or 2 clicks, people can get all sorts of different content. And then it loads up Eugenics. So I'm going to go back to feminism. It's really interactive, so you can sort of pull it around and it animates.
We tried to aim towards a graded audience using the active voice and the past tense.
When you would click on that, it would full screen out to this. And basically my goal in this discovery object was to get into the interviews in a really kind of straight and simple, straightforward way.
The work I've been doing is what I call the political ontology of childhood, and how that connects up to understandings of community and adult identity, citizenship. So what I argue is that the value of childhood innocence, which is given so much privilege in our culture, is also constitutively precarious. And all children inevitably are set up to fail this idea of childhood innocence because as they come to negotiate their maturation as adolescents, then there's this intense amount of negative attention that accrues to them. Childhood innocence is really modelled on a very privileged understanding of the child. So a middle-class child a middle-class white child in a Western context. In 1997, the Human Rights and Equal Opportunity Commission report on the removal of Aboriginal children from their families and communities, bringing them home, was tabled in Australia's Federal Parliament and thereby submitted for inclusion into mainstream understandings of Australian nationhood. Its stated objectives also included personal healing for survivors on the basis that disclosure would provide them a sense of release and acceptance by the majority community. They emphasised a pain of loss that was easily relatable for any reader. It is no ordinary report. Much of its subject matter is so personal and intimate that ordinarily it would not be discussed. In the absence of political goodwill, the life histories contained in Bringing Them Home were delegitimised, denigrated and subordinated to the written accounts of the administrators of child removal policies, who were presented as having acted morally according to the values of the day. Arguably, it was the concern generated by the Bringing Them Home report and the conservative political reaction to it that energised public support for the Northern Territory intervention.
The final Alberta Eugenics Awareness Week will run from Friday, October 17th through Sunday, October 26th, 2014. Watch for details on our website, eugenicsarchive.ca, or contact Moira Lang at our office at 780-248-1211.